Hey yo, what up? It's your boy. I'm with my boy Navi.
Hey.
We're on the road right now. I had to film some stuff for an upcoming main channel video, but we finished up early. Since we're out in the middle of nowhere, I figured we would take some time to go and watch an anime film that both Navi and I have been wanting to see for the longest time, and that is Fujimoto Tatsuki's Look Back. It's like an amazing one-shot. I talked about it on the main channel when the manga first came out. Absolutely loved it. And when I saw the movie announcement, I was like, yo, I have to go check that out. But the problem is that most places in Tokyo are not airing it anymore. So, since we finished up early and we're in the actual middle of nowhere in Chiba, we're gonna go all the way to Narita to go and watch Look Back because there is one cinema left that is still airing the movie. We literally drove like how long to get out of here?
2 hours.
Like 2 hours.
2 hours.
There it is, boys. Look Back. It looks so good. The only thing left to do now is for us to go into the cinema and watch the movie. So I'm gonna go do that and then I'll see you guys back at home. I'm back. Literally took us like 2 hours to get back, but we are back, baby. And my God, the goddamn movie, bro. I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm going to do my best because Look Back might honestly be one of my favorite short anime films to come out in a very, very long time. So before I give you my thoughts and opinions on the movie, I might as well do a quick rundown on what the movie is about in case you haven't read the manga before, in which case I highly implore you to read the manga first and then come back to this video because yeah, there's obviously going to be spoilers. And trust me, if you are any kind of like manga or anime fan, you really do want to read this manga. It's only one volume. It's a short. You can read it in like 30 minutes to an hour, and I highly recommend it, especially if you are someone who loves like, you know, creating things, like loves to be creative with certain things. So the story is fairly simple. It's set in the Yamagata prefecture up north, where we follow two main characters. One named Fujino, who is an aspiring illustrator, and another one, Kyomoto, who is a reclusive shut-in who is very, very good at drawing. They're in elementary school right now, and she's responsible for drawing comic strips every single week in the school newspaper. Albeit her drawing skills are not that great, she does have great ideas and is praised a lot by her classmates. But then when her teacher decides, hey, I heard that this other girl, Kyomoto, who is a hikikomori, never comes to school, also really likes drawing as well, why don't we put a spot in the newspaper for her? Now, Fujino, not knowing about Kyomoto's existence, is like, oh yeah, sure, you can put it in. I mean, it might not be as good as mine, but we'll see how that goes. Turns out she's like a god at drawing. Mostly in like the details and like the background artist type of style, not so much like a drawing manga type of style, but that really drives Fujino to get better at drawing, and we see this progression in her like learning how to draw properly, you know, buying books and sketchbooks and just practicing day in and day out. Until one day Fujino does finally meet up with Kyomoto during their elementary school graduation, in where Kyomoto basically straight up says to Fujino, yo, Fujino sensei, I'm a massive fan of your art and you inspire me to draw and it's so goddamn good. That actually reignites a spark in Fujino to continue drawing, and eventually that leads Fujino and Kyomoto to work together to create their first manga, which ends up going on to a big magazine, and a couple of one-shots later, they're on their way to write up a brand new series. However, in the midst of all of this, they are now in high school. Kyomoto one day says, hey, I don't think I'll be able to join you for the rest of this manga creation adventure together because I want to go to art school to learn how to get better at drawing. This causes a sever in Kyomoto and Fujino's relationship. Fujino goes on to just continue to draw the manga that she created while Kyomoto goes off to art school. And then one day, tragedy strikes. Fujino sees on the news that a particular university has fallen victim to a brutal massacre by an unknown deranged man. That school just so happened to be the art school that Kyomoto was attending, and Fujino soon finds out that Kyomoto was one of the victims who died in the incident. What happens from here on out becomes very metaphorical. We almost see like a parallel universe of what if I never took Kyomoto out of her room? What if she just continued to be a shut-in? What if we never met? And after this beautiful sequence, this beautiful metaphorical sequence of almost this like what if scenario, this parallel universe of Kyomoto and Fujino leading completely different lives, it ends up with Fujino and Kyomoto still meeting, still becoming friends, still working on manga together. And that makes Fujino realize that even though this part of her, Kyomoto is lost in reality, she'll always kind of be there and be inside of her and be a part of her. And that drives Fujino to continue drawing her manga. And that's where the story ends. Now, on paper, that doesn't seem like a very interesting manga. I mean, we've seen these kinds of like coming of age stories before in manga. It's definitely not a new thing, but I think what makes this particular movie or story brilliant in a sense is basically dwells down to who is writing the manga and what is it actually about. Because upon watching this movie, it kind of made me realize that Fujimoto Tatsuki is truly a genius in terms of subtlety, in terms of being able to portray a message to his audience in a very roundabout, yet if you just take even a quick second to kind of think about it, is very apparent and on the surface. So from here on out, this is kind of my interpretation of the look back story. And I might be completely wrong on this. I don't know. That's why it's just my personal interpretation. If you have a different interpretation of the story, I would love to know what you guys thought down in the comments below. But here's mine. I think what look back is about, and it's so obvious now that I think about it, is essentially an autobiography of the creator, Fujimoto Tatsuki. For one, Fujimoto leaves a lot of hints throughout Look Back that fall back onto this point. Some very, very obvious, like the fact that Fujino is creating a manga called Shark Kick, and especially in the movie, it straight up looks like volumes of Chainsaw Man. Also, the fact that the two main characters, Fujino and Kyomoto, when combined together, make the name Fujimoto. But there are also some other subtler details as well, like the fact that the story is set in the prefecture of Yamagata, which is actually just one prefecture across from where Fujimoto Tatsuki actually comes from, which is the Akita prefecture. And so once you understand that Fujino and Kyomoto are essentially the creator, Fujimoto, being told through two completely different characters that have two completely different skill sets, two completely different lives, two completely different objectives, it really goes to show you that this may be Fujimoto's way of kind of expressing inner turmoil that he might have had as a manga creator, as an illustrator. There are kind of two ways to go about it, in my opinion. One, which I think might actually be the case, is the more metaphorical sense of the whole parallel universes thing that we get at the end of the story is kind of Fujimoto looking back at his life and thinking, hey, what if I decided instead of pursuing manga to instead pursue art professionally? Be a background artist, be a painter, be an artist of some kind. Because that's the kind of glimpse that we get in Look Back. The main story is kind of pursuing more on the manga side of things, where Fujino and Kyomoto work together to create this very, very popular manga. Kind of sounds like what Fujimoto's life is currently like. You know, he made a lot of manga, he practiced drawing growing up, and then he eventually became the successful, goated manga artist that we know him as today. But then we get the other side. We get the possible parallel universe, and we get to see it in the manga and the movie of what if I decided instead of pursuing manga, I instead decided to pursue art. And he gives off this message, in my opinion, by showing a completely different future for the character Kyomoto, where she doesn't die in the incident, instead gets saved by Fujino, and eventually that whole incident leading to Fujino and Kyomoto linking back up again and potentially even starting a manga again. And I think it's that parallel messaging that really shows the subtlety of Fujimoto's writing. It's the fact that he's able to take this almost completely unrelated characters and make it a reflection on himself as a creator without explicitly stating so. Or who knows, maybe this isn't metaphorical at all. Maybe Fujimoto actually did have someone like Kyomoto in his life who he lost, unfortunately, which drove him to look back on his life and continue moving forward as a manga artist, even through all the hard times that he went through. It's kind of hard to say if it's actually based on any kind of real person or not, just considering the fact that we don't really know a whole lot about Fujimoto Tatsuki as a person. I mean, the fact that Wikipedia doesn't even know how old this guy is just goes to show you we know very little of who Fujimoto Tatsuki actually is. And so that's why I think there are like these two different possibilities, and I think that's what makes Look Back such a powerful piece of storytelling. It's the fact that, yes, we don't know anything about the creator's life. It might actually be based on real life events. It might just be a metaphorical thing about, again, how he views making manga, or who knows, it might be something completely unrelated and he just wanted to troll us by throwing in all these subtle hints to link it back to the creator. Either way, the manga does such a good job of showing that subtlety in storytelling and in message and in emotions, and the movie just fucking amplifies that to 100, baby. I mean, the sheer fact that they got Nakamura Haruka to do the soundtrack. For one, I fucking love Nakamura Haruka. I've been listening to their music for a very, very long time. Melodica, goated album. And although I'd never heard of Studio Durian before, they really seem to make sure to follow the style of Fujimoto's art and subtleties and the way that a lot of Fujimoto's dialogue, or Fujimoto's character's dialogue, is said in real life. Because if there's one thing you will notice about Fujimoto's works is that a lot of his dialogue, a lot of his character interactions have this very weird feeling to them. I don't know, maybe it's lost in translation when translated to English, but at least when you read it in Japanese, I remember the first time I read Fire Punch or Chainsaw Man, and I thought to myself like, man, these characters speak really fucking weird. It's not a bad thing necessarily, it's just a weird, interesting direction. And Look Back, I think, is a very subtle example of that kind of character writing and that kind of storytelling. And, you know, even though the movie is like less than an hour long, I think it really managed to portray those emotions beautifully, and I got a little bit teary-eyed at the end of it, not gonna lie. Even though I already have read the one shot a couple of times, I know the story back to front, and it is a short story. The fact that you're able to do that and evoke that kind of emotion out of a watcher is, I think, very praiseworthy. So yeah, that was just my little analysis review on Look Back. Again, if you made it this far in the video and you didn't listen to me to go and read the manga beforehand, then I warned you, bro. But if you have read the manga, let me know your thoughts and opinions about it down in the comments below. And if you ever get the chance to watch the Look Back movie, I highly implore you to do so because it is beautiful. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smack my face right here, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep making big channel number go bigger. Over here next to my head, a couple more videos you can check out. If you enjoyed this one, links to my social media, as well as my Patreon to support me directly, and Nonsense, my clothing brand. Check it out at nonsense.jp, links in the description, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.